fill in the rest, whatever colors they'd like.
That's right. That's right. All right, so looks like we're going to go into the game number 1 of this next series immediately here. Eddie has the Turtle Mage, which is our T-Mobile deck spotlight for the day. Honestly, it's a T-Mobile deck spotlight for stage 1. If I were to be pretty, like, if I were to just pick one single deck that would be defining the performance of most of these top 8s and top 4s, it's got to be Eddie's Turtle Mage. Unbelievable amount of consistency, given that the deck is so hard to pilot, the stats on it are so bad, and yet in the hands of the right player, it is the deadliest of decks heading into week number 3. And now top 4 up against NoHandsGamer, a matchup that we're not really optimistic about, but I'm pretty sure if there's a player that can really find a way with some creative stuff, NoHandsGamer is on that list. It seems like he is a player that really understands his role in the matchup. Although he does sometimes, just like many other players, get tripped up and maybe accidentally throw with certain situations where he's giving his opponents lethal. We saw some situations where Mind Runner Lucia did not work out as planned. Yeah. But that's okay, because that happens, and we've seen the best do it. Bloodyface did it this weekend. NoHandsGamer did it the other weekend, or earlier this weekend. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. For Eddie, though, I mean, NoHandsGamer, as far as priest lists go, is probably the easiest out of the opponents he's going to face. There are not any significant cards in NoHandsGamer's list, in any of them, the primary, secondary, or tertiary, that pose a big threat to Eddie's game plan. Think back to yesterday when Eddie beat Bloodyface, despite Bloodyface having that secondary list that had Boom Pistol Bully, Youthful Brewmaster, and Extra Acidic Swamp Ooze, and the Living Dragon Breath, a deck that was tech specifically for Turtle Mage. And now he didn't draw like the right side of his deck in order to make those cards useful, but still, that was probably the toughest test for this Turtle Mage for Eddie. Whereas NoHandsGamer doesn't even put a natural ooze in his primary deck. He probably doesn't want to, put a disadvantage on his deck by switching to his tertiary, which has Cobalt, Sticky Finger, and Bone Wraith, because that doesn't seem like it's going to be too big of a deal. So I think Eddie should be feeling pretty confident about this one, because his deck is pretty nicely designed to beat Priest, and No Hands is one of the easiest priests in the field for him to beat, given the techs.
That's right. So you heard it here from TJ. NoHandsGamer is easy. At this point, we're kind of grasping at different ways to kind of make the matchup feel a lot more compelling than does Eddie draw the combo or does Priest find a way to disrupt it. But I'm sure we'll find some way to go about it. And if you're just tuning in right now and you're kind of wondering like how we're looking for week number 4, it kind of looks like this with Killing All Day now promoted, because I believe he does have his points that's going to be added towards it. And I believe the tiebreakers are highest placing, and Killing All Day is going for top 2, which does mean that he's outperformed the majority of these people, since top 2 has actually been dominated by pretty much the top 3 that you see. Eddie's been to the finals already. He's won it. Bloodyface has also been really deep. It's just really hard, to compete. And it makes the tiebreakers really exciting, actually, when it's like 2 things that happen. Either everyone is really close, or you have like a couple of people dominating, and then everybody else is, a little bit behind, but it's a fight for the remaining spots here. And so Killing All Day, we're pretty happy for him. And then for Firebat and Zelay and Frozen, who narrowly miss out, they're in a similar position as they were last season, which is like the top seeds in Division B, and we anticipate them to do very well in Division B. But it's scary still, because nothing is guaranteed. You only get 7 games in the round robin. After about a week and a half of games, maybe just like after week 1 when you're 0-2 or something, there's a desperation to start seeking in when you're like, oh my gosh, if I like lose one more, I might not make playoffs. I might actually be in the relegation bracket. And that's a really scary thought.
Yeah. Scary thought, but necessary, I guess, to churn in some new talent. It's just the nature of the beast of Grandmasters. So I'm still just amazed at your power rankings, honestly. because it is
I wish you could pull it up. Are we allowed to pull it up?
it is
I wish you could pull it
uncanny.
up. Are we allowed to pull it up? I think that'd be really fun. It's a little too scuffed, maybe, for the slick production of Hearthstone Grandmasters.
Yeah, I can tweet
But
it.
I wish we could direct it to it.
Yeah.
You know what's the greatest tragedy of all? Is that this list would have been even greater, even memeier, and even more legendary if TJ was willing to collaborate on it. But TJ was really busy doing something. I don't know. I think having a second child in his family. I don't remember. But,
I mean, I said that I agree with your list.
You signed. That's right. Co-signed. TJ co-signed it. It was a little petition that I sent in front of him, and he was like, "You know what? You have my signature of approval." But I had to turn to our good old buddy Nathan. That's Admirable Zamora to brainstorm. So you know, TJ, I can't take full credit. I can take about 95% of it because Admirable was there on Discord talking to me while I was making it.
Okay. Well, Arabol is one of the people that I trust the most, so he has power of attorney when it comes to stamping power rankings for me.
Oh no! I hope that's not legally binding in the state of California. Here
just for power rankings, Stan. Just for power rankings.
TJ's Arabol's like, all right, well, I am going to commandeer the ownership of this YoCat shirt using the power of attorney.
Oh, geez, how would that even work? He lives like 5 hours away from me.
When there's a will, there's a way. All right, looks like our players are in their seats. Eddie versus NoHandsGamer. As looks like he's actually got a fun little shirt himself. No Hands with the Jiraxis.
I think so.
Yeah, it looks like a Jiraxis outline to me, which is fun. You know, if I were to say there would be one dual class that No Hands seems to be pretty fond of, it would be the Priest Warlock dual class. Given that it seems like those are the two primary classes that he's played a lot this season. You know, and of course, there's that previous expansion where No Hands was really fond of like the warrior decks. And so those seem to be kind of like what he's known for. And I love that. You know, I love that so much because it feels like a lot of players these days say, you know what? I don't have a favorite class, or I'm not known for a class. I'm a flex player. I like to have all kinds of stuff, and it just feels like No Hands has an identity of being like a innovative deck builder, primarily for those three classes, and I love to see that.
Yeah, it's
no disrespect, of course, to people that love to be open and play all kinds of decks. But it's cool to see that kind of identity be tied to a player.
It's rare. It's rarer and rarer these days. I guess it's fitting for this matchup too, because honestly, I've tied Eddie to Mage for the past 3 weeks. Because who cares what his other decks are when he just does this well with Turtle Mage, which is such an out there deck and the only person bringing it. And we're gonna get into game one of this matchup. I'd say, buckle in. This one, can get a little long. No Hands does have Mind Render Lucia in the opening hand. I mean, we've been parroting it over the past couple days, but win conditions for Eddie: dodge, drawing, double Potion of Illusion. Not a good start to his plan right now since he has a Potion of Illusion in hand, but he does have Lorekeeper Polecat. So if he by turn 4, he can swap his deck from highest cost to lowest cost, which will put him on a clock to draw a potion, but at least he knows when he will draw it. For NoHandsGamer, the main game plan is try and push as much tempo as possible. Once the tempo plan fails, the fallback is to assemble, try and disrupt Eddie's gameplay with Mind Render Lucia and dumping the 1-mana Tortolan Pilgrims once it gets to that part of the game, or try and assemble multiple Mind Render Lucias, which can be difficult. You need a lot of invokes, or you need to curate your Raised Dead pool. But those are about the only ways you can consistently win. Things can get crazy down the line, but most of those crazy things involve Eddie either having to play with an awkward hand or messing up. And those are not things that NoHandsGamer can bank on. But until then, you just kind of has to play for as much tempo as possible, I think.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me. We shall see as we go into the beginning of what could be, you know, the longest matchup that we see. Killing All Day is playing a quite a fast deck, so I don't really anticipate, you know, matchups to be pretty long and drawn out versus the Temple Mage. It usually kind of goes out in a blaze of glory, for better or for worse. And so we'll see No Hands be pretty systematically trying to dissect what Eddie's doing. Zephyrus on 3 so that he can take down the effects of the Doomsayer, or he wants to ramp into something better.
Ooh, yeah.
And I like the
Earth
Earth Shock because, it, of course, gets a random spell for the Priest as well.
Also,
it looks...
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that it looks like he really favors the tempo line. I agree.
Well, another big thing is this Doomsayer on the board makes things very difficult for Eddie. Because there's not a good way for him to kill off his own Doomsayer. NoHandsGamer can leave it there on the board. And then Eddie has to really think about hand space once the Tortollan Pilgrim Chain comes out, because it's the Potion of Illusion is based off of order of play, which means that the Doomsayer will always be first. So every time he plays Potion of Illusion, he'll get a 1-mana Doomsayer back into his hand.
Right.
So before he does anything, he needs to think about, how do I get this Doomsayer off the board? Which is going to make things really awkward. So valuing silencing this with the Zephyrus, which is a pretty massive resource for NoHandsGamer, does make things pretty awkward for Eddie as the game is going to progress.
Certainly interesting to think about. I kind of wonder if it cuts both ways, though, right? Like, if Eddie copies a bunch of Doomsayers, that makes his freezes off of the Tortollan Pilgrim like really effective. So yeah, it is certainly a dynamic that is pretty intriguing, and maybe it ends up being a nuisance for Eddie. Maybe Eddie will find a way to utilize it, right? And that's kind of what Hearthstone has become, quite frankly. It's like it does feel kind of a mix of, constructed, like 90% constructed with like a 10% limited feel, because of the amount of card generation that you can have, or like an unusual board states. And it feels like that dynamic has kind of created a bunch of unusual game states that players have to adapt to.
Yeah, no, it's very true.
Speaking of Wand Thief, okay, maybe No Hands can find some real trickery, or maybe just direct damage to end the game on his side.
Evocation, perhaps, for double burn later in the game. A lot of things that can happen, but Eddie now he's on a clock, and he's playing his primary deck, so he has less of the, 4 or more mana cost things. He's on a clock because he's already drawn one of his Potions of Illusion. He flipped his deck with Lorekeeper Polkelt. So in a certain amount of turns, which I believe is 5 turns, he will guarantee draw a second potion, and he has to kill NoHandsGamer by that time, or 1 turn after he draws his Potion of Illusion, or else he'll just completely run out of damage. Doesn't have to kill him, can kind of play a War of Attrition if necessary, but it's very difficult once you've used your potions and all of your War Mages. So NoHandsGamer, his goal is going to be to try and pressure as much as possible until that point, knowing that Eddie is on the clock, and try and make it as awkward as possible for him to weave in the Sunreaver War Mage once he draws it with the Tortollan Pilgrim, or alternatively make it awkward for him to even play Tortollan Pilgrim on 8 from the get-go. Because the first Tortollan Pilgrim has to be it doesn't have to be if you have 2, but if you want to play her on my render, it has to be for a Potion of Illusion. So if there's lethal damage staring at you on the other side of the board, you can't just play Potion of Illusion because you'll die, and you have to freeze, which puts Eddie in an awkward spot.
Oh, that silence is actually really interesting, TJ.
Oh yeah,
not only does, of course, he can use it. Not only can he use silence, of course, on his own minion, so that he could unfreeze stuff and maybe attack. He can also use it to even increase the board space again. Let's say Eddie does play a 1-mana Doomsayer. That's a 1/1. He can silence it back to a 0/7. Very unusual. Once more, as you were talking about.
He missed the 4/1. He was hoping to take a good amount of power off the board there, but didn't hit the 4-1. But still a decent play. He's got Cartoon Defender to follow this up. But the big thing for Eddie here, he needs to have a safe turn on turn 8 to play Tortollan Pilgrim and not have to freeze. And No Hands, it's the opposite. He needs to try and build up as big of a board as possible so that he can prevent the... Whoa. Okay. I was like, oh. He was mousing over Mind Render. I got a little frightened for a moment there, Dan.
Yeah, the Mind Render Lucia in this spot, especially when you know your opponent played the Lore Keeper, does seem kind of sketchy. Finds a opportunity for Combustion, Mirror Entity, or Tome of Intellect. It doesn't seem like any of these are particularly impactful, but they could have some impact. Like, Tome of Intellect could end up giving him another really powerful spell. It's almost kind of like mystery choice, if you will, off of a Volpero Scoundrel.
Yeah. He doesn't want to use it this turn,
that was a pretty
though.
weak.
They'd steal the Doomsayer.
Yeah, he doesn't want to actually take that Doomsayer because of what you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. And because it limits his board space, which he doesn't want that either.
Right.
Because he wants to keep pressuring and be able to just play out his stuff. And also board space is the only thing that's going to allow him to play Mind Render if it comes to that. Like game plan, plan A is try and, kill them, tempo them out, and, have enough power on the board to prevent them from playing Tortollans. And then plan B is Mind Render. And then if plan B doesn't work, then plan C is multiple Mind Renders. And then if you can't find multiple Mind Renders, plan D is think of something weird.
What to do?
Right now he's still on plan A. Plan A is still there. It's still possible. That is 4, 8, 10 damage. With silence, he could chain together spells. He also has a Tome of Intellect.
Right. Yeah, could
dance, puppet, dance.
I guess we would Tome of Intellect to see what would happen. Galakron also gives him the ability to remove and clean off the board here. I mean, No Hands is also thinking about, like, what's the best way to keep his tempo up. And he also has the ability to, like, target some stuff with, like, Time Rip and maybe see what the Sethic Veilweaver also gives him. Jeez, full hand. Okay, doesn't really find anything to immediately help him. Tome of Intellect. It gives him the damage.
Tome first.
Font of Power?
I wonder why he didn't Tome first.
The Font of Power give him anything. Trick Totem. Okay, Janus Barrow.
Honestly, Trick Totem might have been the choice. Nah, Janus is the choice.
Yeah, Janus has to be the choice because he doesn't actually have anything meaningful to develop on the next turn. Let's say his board gets, like, Blizzarded, which I think he knows is guaranteed to be drawn. No, it's very likely to be drawn.
Yeah.
He doesn't actually have anything good. He's got Cabal Shadow Priest and the Aeon Reaver.
Ooh, okay. So this is a big decision from Eddie.
Right.
I mean, it's the only decision that he had to make, but he played a full mana Tortollan Pilgrim for freeze, did not Potion of Illusion. So NoHandsGamer, he's got a good shot here. All he has to do is kill this Tortollan Pilgrim.
Must consider.
If he kills this Tortollan Pilgrim, the second Tortollan Pilgrim that's played will only summon 2 Tortollans max back to the hand, and then he can Mind Render. Actually, he doesn't have to kill it, because if he doesn't kill it and puts on enough pressure, then Eddie has to freeze with the full mana Tortollan Pilgrim.
What makes something?
And so he can still dump next turn with the Mind Renders.
Right. I mean, those are sizable minions.
Yeah. So if he threatens enough here,
Must move quickly. I must consider.
then he'll force Eddie's hand. I'm curious what the game plan here for Eddie is. I mean, he had to freeze there, but he is going to have to dump his second Tortolan Pilgrim here to go for the freeze, and that will open up Mind Render for no hands.
That's right. And then Eddie would have to figure out a different way to go about it if he doesn't have access.
Yep.
You're in my hands.
Unless it has to be a freeze here. There's no other way.
Has to be a freeze. Yep.
Yes.
So no hands.
and-
Oh yeah, he's pumped, man.
He knows. He knows.
Yeah.
He knows exactly what to do. Little spectator.
Oh wait, he just kills it because Unsleeping Soul.
Oh right, because the silence.
Yeah, we couldn't even see it because the mass resurrection was blocking it.
That's right.
But it was in the hand previously, so yeah, it's silence it
forgot
makes a
about
copy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh
know.
jeez.
So I think I don't know if it's us or sometimes NoHandsGamer because he uses the infrared glasses to play.
Right.
Sometimes his when we spectate his games, I think it gets locked on something, so it blocks the hand. But yeah, it's rare that Plan A works against Turtle Mage. Plan A being
Tempo.
kill them, tempo them out of the game. It's rare,
Right.
but No Hands played it for tempo. Played every turn at max tempo he could get, max power on the board that he could go for. Even like the Cabal Acolyte, instead of Imprisoned Observer, on the turn where he played the Wand Thief, like Cabal Acolyte has higher upside, has less power immediately, but more power immediately, but less power over time. He wanted the more power immediately. Even if he was stealing a Doomsayer with the Tome of Intellect or whatever spell he played, he didn't care because he just wanted as much power on the board right now, and it paid off. And that doesn't happen very often.
It doesn't happen very often, but I mean, it happens a certain percentage of time.
Yeah.
To even the most polarized matchups, there's still ways to win, right? I don't think there's ever been a 100% win rate against any deck in Hearthstone's history because that either is a bad deck because it's only slanted to beat one type of archetype, and even then, there's still like variance that's built in. So every blue moon or so, you will see the ability for these slow defensive priest decks to be able to beat some of those combo-oriented mage decks. And so we'll see going to game number 2, as Eddie with the Messenger Raven has indicated he is going to his tertiary deck for game number 2, and I mean, that's a much different curve than we saw the previous game where he was relying on Doomsayers and hoping it would activate. And on the other side, NoHandsGamer sticking to his primary, which is only fitting because it was his primary game plan that worked in the previous game.
Yeah. And I mean, his secondary, tertiary deck would just be it wouldn't be terrible in the matchup. They'd be similar. Actually, I think his secondary deck would be terrible. No, they both would be terrible because he cuts Mind Render in his secondary and tertiary list, so they are unplayable in the matchup. Oh yeah, look at this, Dan.
Tempo
1/1. He knows what's up, and he has raised that.
That's right.
So whatever.
You don't pick the ones.
Oh, now he's gonna get to push the 1, Dan. He's gonna push the 1.
I mean, he can even tempo further. Forbidden Words on curve, TJ.
Yeah, and then push the 1. I don't know if that's better than coining a 3, though. You can go coin 3 into 3.
Interestingly enough, Madame Lazul has a very good suite of minions to pick from Eddie's hand to play on curve for his next turn as well. Volpera Scoundrel actually is not a very good tempo option. It's usually more for value because it's understated for what you want at 3 mana. But at the same time, looks like No Hands recognizes that as much as it's a match that he wants to play for tempo, he's not trying to go up against tempo mage. It could be more value in holding on to the coin later.
Yeah. I mean, the hand note from Eddie is just looking so much better. He won't fall behind with his hand.
Right.
So primary game plan for No Hands, I think, is going to be out the window quickly once he sees some of these solid early game minions from Eddie. Ooh, the Mana Saber.
That's right, Mana Saber. Firebrand is interesting as well.
Yeah.
To try and get tempo since he has cheap spells to activate it.
Oh, actually, No Hands does have Cabal Acolyte Wave of Apathy, so if Eddie plays Escape Mana Saber next turn instead of going for the clear of Firebrand plus Magic Trick, because he's assuming he's a Imprisoned Observer, he is going to play it. All right.
Oh.
Cabal Acolyte, Coin Wave of Apathy. Actually, it might be merit for Escape Mana Saber this turn, because if he doesn't want his board to be weakened by the Imprisoned Observer.
Right.
Nah.
I think you take it. Just stop
Yeah.
Eddie's ability to do shenanigans. And he did actually want that 6 mana crystal going into his turn 5. And so Eddie, unhappy to see that.
Yep.
I mean, this is really good for the priest so far. Just basically disrupting. And look at this broomstick pushing the 1 again.
That broomstick has gotten in 3
damage.
That's insane. Wait, 4, yeah. Wait, 4? No,
3, because it got stuck on 1, 2, 3, 4. It attacked. That's a good broomstick.
Solid.
When you realize that if broomstick attacked a 4th time, it would deal as much damage as some of the most powerful dragons to ever grace Azeroth, Malikos and Ysera. Like, wait, what? All right, Eddie has to figure out something here. I mean, at this point, he's kind of turning into a tempo mage.
Yeah.
It's falling very far behind.
Ooh. Arcane Breath is actually pretty good because of the how it works with Firebrand. Now he's got like 2 back-to-back Firebrand turns, or Blizzard into 2 back-to-back Firebrand turns. Problem for Eddie here is he has no follow-up to the Temple plan. He doesn't have Sphere of Sapience to help him find Tortolans. He doesn't have the Lord Keeper Bulkelt to swap his deck and guarantee Tortolans. He doesn't have Tortolans. So, but like you mentioned, the hand that he has is just pretty solid for tempo. Firebrand's going to gain him a lot of tempo back. Wand Thief can kind of curate a spell to fit his needs.
Yeah, geez. I mean,
he can have 2 extra mana this turn, so he can fit in a heal. Oh, man.
yeah, at this point, Priest is becoming like Ramp Priest. This is actually a variation of a deck that we saw Hunter Ace. Forward Grandmaster. Wow, that sounds so weird to say. But he ended up playing like Mana Sabers and Grave Runes and like a bunch of really weird stuff. And it ended up being like a pretty interesting mid-range Priest.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of reminds me of that style. This is a lot of pressure. You're staring at 9 damage. That's almost half your life here, Eddie.
Yeah, No Hands knows the Blizzard is there, so I like the damage push that last turn, because there wasn't a great way for him to make his board play around the Blizzard significantly. So he might as well just push a little bit extra damage while he's at it and force trades, because then he gets like full development on turn. But it looks like Eddie is just going to go for Firebrand, Wand Thief, and the Arcane Breath will clear things up. And Tortolan's a good draw for him, because now he has something to play towards. His goal is just to stall as long as until he gets to... with this game plan, it might even be turn 9 that he stalls until. But we'll see. He could just take full control of the board next turn and then Tortolan on 8. We'll see how this turn plays out for No Hands, and I think Eddie's under the same impression. Ooh. The silence proved incredibly useful last game. So did the Unsleeping Soul. So, yeah, going to pick that. Also has set to go Weaver in hand again. With silence.
Okay.
So gets very similar information to what he had last time with the Madame Lazul. He saw Blizzard and saw Firebrand. And he saw the Escape Mana Saber, which was played. So No Hands doesn't get any new information aside from the Magic Trick.
Interesting. Well, the Magic Trick does pull Netherwind Portal. Okay. Just as a way to maybe fight back. Doesn't really have to generate too many cards in his hand, right? You don't want to necessarily play something that you feel like will give you more cards at this point.
Yeah.
It's pretty set.
But Dan, one more turn.
Okay.
Eddie draws one potion. If he draws the second potion off the top, his deck stops working.
Stops working the way he wants it to.
The way he wants it, yeah. But still can use these potions of illusions to go for tempo. I kind of wanted to see a trade with the Firebrand to keep the Wand Thief around, because that has super high as a failsafe in case you draw a second potion, because Wand Thief can help you get over the finish line. But decides to keep the Firebrand healthy and limiting your own board space. If you're assuming the best instead of assuming the worst, and you're not going to draw a potion next turn, limiting the amount of minions you have on board makes it so that it's less awkward for you to go for Tortolan Pilgrim plus Potion of Illusion.
Not too quickly.
Well, No Hands is running out of time. Definitely needs to find a way to stabilize. Otherwise, he too will be the victim of a tempo line very soon. And it looks like he doesn't want to follow up with this Firebrand.
No. I don't think there's...
You're in my hands.
All right. So dodges the potion.
So it begins. But yeah, he's going to have to... I mean, he's kind of on that, like... I have to dodge it for a long time now. And I think that's kind of why Eddie is like prioritizing collecting cards in his hand in case it happens.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he doesn't have to dodge it for a long time, because he's got a lot of power on board. No Hands is at 16. He's got a Wand Thief in hand.
I wonder.
Is there any reason for No Hands to... I mean, he's getting pressured here. I think he might have to just consider using removal. Gonna test for the counter spell, but he ends up summoning a Hedgecamp Burglar. Oh. I mean, that's one way to generate a win condition if you draw your second potion, but it looks like the Soul Mirror is gonna clear off at least 9 damage. Still though? Oh wow.
Double Wand Thief with the Potion of Illusion in hand. Yeah, at this point, I don't even know if he needs to go for the second Tortolan. I mean, he might just kind of go in here.
Power creation, Conjurer's Calling.
Conjurer's Calling on a 1-mana Tortolan.
You fight me, you get burned.
Could be good. That's double 8
Yeah,
drop.
right?
That's a lot of pressure.
That's such good tempo. What? I mean, he can Tome of Intellect, Firebrand, and clear off the board and just push. He actually does have hand space to consider as well if he ends up... Like, this is an opportunity where he can maybe even consider using a natural Potion of Illusion if he likes to, but I think that's a little bit excessive. So let's see what he gets off this Conjurer's Calling. Speaker Ghidra!
Time runs out
Oh.
Mishpin! What is happening? He's just all of a sudden shifted straight up to Tempo Mage.
Yeah. All right, well, here's
and
Mind Render.
Desperation. He knows
Yeah.
he has Blizzard, though.
Yeah, but he also knows that he has one Tortolan and a Blizzard still left, very likely a Blizzard left in his deck.
Right. Wait, he could do that. He can Tortolan, cast a Blizzard, and he can Conjurer's Calling the Tortolan.
Yeah.
I must.
That sounds great to me.
Fight me, you get burned.
You're in my
Is that not to you? I think it's a board clear, too. Is that not?
Yeah, it is. Because the Firebrand. What?
Oh. Oh, okay, he wants to go for
Me,
Firebrand
you get burned.
clears. Interesting. Oh, it's because he knows that his own hand has Shadow Word Death. So I think if he goes for Conjurer's Call, he's giving like Eddie playable cards.
Well, actually, what I'm kind of doubting is because the Potion of Illusion changes the base cost of the minion. If the Tortolan Pilgrim that at 1 mana actually gives you 8 drops.
Right.
I'm actually not sure. It might just give you 1 drops because you're changing the base cost of the minion. You're not reducing the cost of a minion in your hand. You're changing the base cost of it. So I think it's just
Sure,
1
sure.
drops.
Okay. That
That would be my guess.
Sure?
Because both. Well, no, I'm not.
No, because that's 0 mana giants would then turn into.
Yeah, but you're reducing the base. You're reducing the base cost of the minion in your hand. I don't know. I'm just trying to find justification for why both of them decided not to go for a Conjurer's Calling on a more expensive minion.
Okay. I thought it was because he knows that Eddie would have playable cards if he played the Conjurer's Calling and he didn't swap back.
What to do?
Yeah, I suppose, but he would only be able to kill off 1, and I mean, I would rather have power. But I guess you're right. Yeah, he doesn't want him to dump his Shadow Word Death. Not that the Shadow Word Death is even that impactful in NoHandsGamer's hand.
Right.
So
Speaker Kidra getting active. Eddie again has to make this work, but he does have Apexis Blast, and he has 2 Wand Thieves. Font of Power. If he can find a way to generate. The swaps, of course, double swap doesn't really matter.
this is so weird.
This is very strange.
Because now,
And-
once these primes are killed or these arch spores, then it's gonna reduce the amount of time that before Eddie draws his next Tortolan.
I mean, he's gonna die, TJ. Like, just look at what's happening on board. If that second Gidra gets up, he's dead. Apexis Blast will end this game, and he knows that he's in trouble. He needs silence. No, he's dead.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Apexis Blast is how much here? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's. I mean, I don't know how Eddie did this, but it looks like he just kind of pieced together
Why
a game
didn't No
plan.
Hands clear off the board?
You mean the few turns ago?
Yeah. Or put more power on the board, or both.
Yeah, it's quite unusual situation, and so I think from No Hands' perspective, I think his goal was to stall the board, obviously, by freezing it. Oh wait, no, there wasn't. Was there any Blizzard to pull from the Tortolan? Is that why we're kind of like missing something?
There was
He
a
played the
blizzard.
turn pretty quickly.
There was a blizzard because Eddie drew his blizzard off the top on the very last turn that we saw. Like the turn that he killed No Hands, that's when he drew the blizzard off the top. There was all 3 spells still left in the deck.
Right. So when he
99%
played
sure.
his, you are correct. There was all 3 spells available to him, and so the play that we were kind of thinking was clear the board, and then Conjurer's Calling, and then try to tempo. And he knew about the Apexis Blast as well, right? Because he gave it back.
Yeah.
Right at that time when he played the second Lucia.
Yeah.
It's a hard situation, right? It's like really easy for us to kind of talk about it. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe this happened, but I think he was trying to favor just like going back to the tempo line, and then by switching, hoping that his opponent wouldn't have a ability to response. But like, I don't know. When you're giving back like a Wand Thief and a Apexis Blast, it feels like you're also asking to get punished sometimes.
Yeah.
As opposed to simply dumping and picking a bad spell that the mage can't use. So I'm not sure.
Yeah. Just a little weird. A little weird. A weird ending to that game. And we'll see if NoHandsGamer can come back from that one. I mean, Eddie obviously he was a favorite even in game 1 with their primary decks, just because of the matchups, but he's improved that percentage by at least a few points by having a more like minion-focused tertiary or secondary deck with the Messenger Ravens, Boom Pistol Bully, and Sunreaver War Mage. It's harder for him to fall super far behind in the early game. But once again, No Hands has Sethic Veilweaver and Mindrender in the opening hand. So that's kind of the X factor of the deck. Obviously, Sethic Veilweaver can get you a lot of early game value, can put spells in your hand that Eddie can't account for, and then of course Mindrender is almost always necessary to win the game. Well, minus the first game because No Hands just was able to tempo him out. But Mindrender is kind of the only way beyond that if Plan A fails. So looks like a pretty easy forbidden words here for No Hands. I don't see why he would just want to trade this 2-3 in.
Yeah, it seemed like No Hands also was like favoring holding on to cards like Silence, and so the more chances you get to have that to push damage, it'd be good. But it does seem like we kind of had a deviation of plans from No Hands in the previous game that kind of threw us in a loop, and I'm sure, I mean, these players are very good, right? We're never going to kind of say like these players are like, unskilled or don't belong here, etc. It's really not the case. But there are mistakes that are made that you really want to make sure that you tighten up. And I think that's what we're calling into question. We're not exactly sure what was the reasoning, but whatever it was, there was certainly a logical conclusion that No Hands came to. It's just that we can't really pick it out. Either way, going into game number 3 here, having this Sethic Veilweaver stick is definitely a big threat. So I like that Eddie's taking it seriously and removing the Veilweaver's potential to disrupt. It looks like Eddie going to prioritize picking up more removal because he doesn't want to fall too far behind on the board, given that he does have kind of a slower start.
Yeah. Ooh. Ooh.
Okay, there's some interesting choices.
Yeah, I mean, this is Plan A, right? There's not. He hasn't been shown anything that says deviate from Plan A yet. Plan A being, play your biggest things, try and kill them before they get Tortollan Pilgrims and can combo you out of the game. If he had been shown something that said, all right, abort Plan A, you're never getting there, abort Plan A, maybe you take a Mers on there and try and do something crazy later on.
Right. But what's what can Murzon really do? It's just like it plays Blizzard right back. Maybe Potion of Illusion and you get 1 mana Murzon?
Yeah, it doesn't do anything most of the time. The biggest thing it does is fills your board with 5/5s. If your opponent's and freezes your opponent's board. Sometimes. A lot of times it's just filling your board with 5/5s because most of the time Turtle Mage, the only card they're playing is Tortollan Pilgrim at certain stages. So it's filling your board with 5/5s and sometimes 4/4s if they're having Sunreaver War Mage, which can actually do a lot.
It's just that it was just a little bit off in a couple areas, right? Like didn't have the gift of Luminance available to play on the Sethic Veilweaver. That is one of the more fun combos at the beginning of the set that I was trying out. Reliquary of Souls. I mean, I don't know if the Reliquary Prime ends up being a hugely impactful minion.
I mean, this just puts a minion on board right now, so.
Solarium Prime.
Ooh. Rolling Fireball. I mean, it's decent. It clears up everything, and then he can double trade into the evasive. I don't know. I never remember cards when I'm casting Turtle Mage versus Priest. What is it? I can't remember the name. I've seen that card a million times.
What to do?
Feywing. Evasive Feywing. There it is.
Sorry, I kind of lost track of what you were talking about. But yeah, the Evasive Feywing, it is kind of annoying, but the Rolling Fireball can be used here for Eddie to kill off everything. If he just simply targets for the exact amount of health.
Yeah.
And it'll roll to the left or to the right, and in this case, it's a perfect clear.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to say. I just couldn't remember the name of the card.
It's all good. There's a lot of cards in Hearthstone right now. I've actually...
Yeah,
so
but that shouldn't be
couple-
included in a lot of cards because that one's been around for a long time. That's
Sure.
that's a card. That's
Fair
not
enough.
an Archspore Mushfin.
Mishfin.
Yeah, there you go. Mushfin. You're missing the accent.
A Mishfin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went on a so it looks like No Hands probably stuck in an awkward spot. His best development for tempo is Cabal Shadow Priest or Zephyrs here, and neither of them feel super impactful at the moment.
Yeah.
So I am curious about what he's going to be thinking about. I appeared on a trivia show, a Hearthstone trivia show with Amaz a few months back, and Amaz decided to say here are all the possible. Ooh, actually I like this play a lot. Hold on, this is really cool. Oh, never mind. I thought he would have the ability to activate the spell burst, and I think maybe No Hands thought the same thing.
Yeah.
When he committed to it, I thought it was pretty clever, but then I guess I thought I missed it because when you summon a copy, you usually keep its actual effect, right? Whether it has a death rattle on it or whatnot. In this case, I for some reason when No Hands was committed to it, I'm like, oh, did I miss something? And thought that the Firebrand actually has the spell burst.
Yeah, that's weird actually. I guess Spell Burst completely changes the card. I could have
The
sworn
card
there's
state.
the card state. Yeah, no, it makes complete sense actually because if a death rattle is silenced, you don't copy the death rattle.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's all these micro interactions that you're trying to learn in Hearthstone, and apparently, if you're even at a Grandmaster level, sometimes you're learning them while you're competing for a chance to go into the top 2. Solarian Prime gets played, freezing, casting spells,
goodness.
Icicle, which will draw a card.
That was
Remember,
just
it
a
actually
really
doesn't wanna
solid
draw
Slayer
cards.
Prime.
Yeah, it's Tempo Solarian Prime.
Yeah,
Kind of did a little bit of everything.
and no way to even test into this counterspell. It's counterspell Flame Ward as the 2 Secret Seeker for Eddie, and No Hands has no way to test into it, and he is going to take this 7 damage. Actually, all 10 of it. He's going to take all 10. And then, if Eddie wants to, he can just Potion of Illusion and Slinger Prime again. Search for that lethal. He even has Sunreaver War Mage to have a little bit of extra burst towards the end. There's just a lot he can do. Holy moly. He can also pull in Potion of Illusion. The Big Game Hunter.
Ah, yes. That is a way to deal with that Solarian Prime.
Yeah.
Seasonal Mirror Entity, and that'll be a way to deal with it, but still doesn't kind of solve the issue, which is he's not actually developing anything meaningful into this board now that Prison Observer shuts it down. And Eddie has full dominion over the board. Second Sun Reaver Mage. TJ, this is looking real bad here for No Hands in game number 3.
Yeah, he's just going to unload here. Spend all his mana, play his biggest things. He's got second War Mage in hand, so he doesn't have to worry about ditching this first one. He's got 11 damage on board. He's got a lethal set up. Ooh, Kronks, though.
Yep. Kronks
That
is nice.
saves him.
Right, and he needs to get to the point where maybe he could find a counter-lethal opportunity if Eddie fills up his entire hand with Sunreaver Mage. And then he can swap hands and then cast a few Sunreaver Mages. But he's very far away. 24 health. It's not easy to use Sunreaver Mage counter-lethals because you don't. And Kronks maybe can help with that. Problem is he has to use it to clear the board right now. He has to kind of cast the Annihilation. Otherwise he's going to die. But Eddie's okay with that because he was hoping that his board doesn't get too full so that Tortilla and Pilgrim doesn't copy 5 cards in the hand.
Yeah. Still no test for Counterspell from No Hands.
Right.
So it could be Counterspell, could be Spellbender, Ice Barrier, Vaporize, Flame Ward.
You're in my
Pick up here.
hands now.
All right.
Sphere
No Potion of Illusion draw.
Sapience.
You're in
Would you
my
play that sphere or just prioritize the? I think he would prioritize the kill. This is very likely. It's unlikely he draws the Potion of Illusion #2, and he should have a kill lined up relatively soon. NoHandsGamer immediately playing the Mindrender Lucia.
Yep. So he wants to dump Sunreaver here and both Tortolans.
Right.
And play Freeze.
Wait, but then he still he can dump both, but then there's Potion of Illusion in the hand.
He can kill both the Tortolans on the other side. Wait.
Oh, wait, what is happening?
Can he kill him?
Kronks?
Nah, I can't kill him. He doesn't have the mana to kill him.
Wait,
You're
are you
in
sure?
my hands now.
He needs
Oh, wait, no,
3
the
more. He doesn't
copy
have board
order.
space.
Yeah. Or hand space, right? Wait, he keeps copying Kronks and Mindrender. Oh, he doesn't have the hand space like you said.
He also doesn't have board space.
Unless he
I feel like that should have happened first.
Oh, hey,
also.
the Flame Ward! TJ!
Oh, the Flame Ward!
The Flame Ward!
No, he's still. Oh, now he gets 2. Yeah, it's order play. He does
Wait,
have the
does he have
space.
time? Does he have time? Oh my gosh!
He doesn't have time.
No
the Flame
time,
Ward!
gamer!
No! Oh, he had the lethal. No! Oh my God, that was sick. So he needed it to be exactly Flame Ward, right?
Yeah, and it was. Oh,
Yeah, I forgot
geez,
about
you
the
could
Flame Ward. Oh my gosh, that was so close. And now he's just gonna die. Oh, that was so close.
Well, I mean, he's gonna stay in it. That looks so.
Wait, he
close.
saw that
because he
saw
found the
that
2 Kronks.
Yeah, and he saw that so fast.
Oh, that was
Well,
a
like-
hard spot. I can't believe he actually had it, but there's not enough time.
Like, I mean, we could argue if that's like even the right play, you know?
That was the right play, and if he did that, that would have been one of the coolest plays we have seen in
Yeah.
Grandmasters.
Well,
But
does he know that that's Flame Ward? Because if he doesn't know that it's Flame Ward, the better play is to dump the Tortolans,
oh
right?
no! Yeah. Oh jeez.
Yeah.
My hand is too
I don't
Oh
know.
no! The window is closed. The second potion. What? I
Wait a
don't think-
second.
I don't think it matters.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
just
it
too
doesn't
far
matter.
behind in tempo, and he can just Sunreaver Mage. And
And potion.
well,
no, he
the
can't potion.
Wouldn't give it back.
Wait a second, because he can Soul Mirror the Reliquary.
Yeah, but like, how's he winning?
You Plague of Deaths after he Soul Mirrors the Reliquary and cashes in on the healing, and then Eddie runs out of damage.
Right. Oh wow. What a turnaround this has been, but on both sides, Eddie looked so dominant. No Hands looked out of it. No Hands somehow concocted a way to turn the tables. And despite that, didn't have time. And then has led to a situation where Eddie might just be able to cruise to a victory. Simply because there's just nothing for No Hands to do from this position.
Yeah, honestly. No, he can't win. Oh, Wave of Apathy. All right, so No Hands knows there's Sunriver Warmage Potion in hand. So he has to Soul Mirror and Wave of Apathy here. Right? Because he has to block the damage. Otherwise, Eddie could go Sunreaver Potion and push damage, then Potion again. So he
Yeah,
just has to get above. He has to get
Soulmere
above. He has to get above 8. Which Soulmere will do by itself. He has to get above 8, and he has to reduce the power on board down to. Oh no, he could do it. He just Soulmires and trades.
Right.
But he does need the Soulmere here.
Oh man. Quite a sad finish from our perspective. Not because we're not happy for Eddie or anything, but it does seem to be a limp to the finish line.
Wait, am I missing something? Why is it a sad finish?
Because I feel like this game should be over already, TJ.
Yeah, but No Hands still has a chance.
Okay, he has a chance if Eddie, if he generates another Myrander Lucia. I mean, Eddie here can just simply develop. He have to do too much. He can just like Blizzard and play like Messenger Raven and then push 4. And there's nothing really that No Hands can do about that.
Yeah,
I just I don't feel like he's in a position to do that.
yeah, he needs.
Man,
I feel like he needed to Wave of Apathy last turn to just block damage. And he knows now. He just moused over and put his head in his hands. He needed to just take as little damage as possible. He knew exactly what the hand was from Eddie. He knew there was Blizzard. The problem for Eddie now, though, is he doesn't have Sun River Warmage is not active.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I think No Hands has to hope that his hero power gives him something. Nope. Wretched Tutor, Wave of Apathy, or, can help clear off the board. But he knows about Sun River Warmage.
It's not active.
The nice thing is, your nice thing is that it's not active.
He might be able to find it with Mana Cyclone?
What if?
What a weird game.
Mommy needs
Okay.
So Eddie had to play the
I guess
Blizzard
maybe-
last turn. Because
Oh,
he
that's
couldn't
funny.
afford to give him the healing.
Time is running out.
Right.
Mommy needs
Oh,
All right, there's some pressure.
fun mechanics and interaction.
Does he have a natural Blizzard left in his deck?
I don't think so.
No.
well played.
He drew it. Oh my
wait,
god.
Yeah, he does.
Oh my god.
No.
Oh no. Oh man.
A new Valore Delana.
Ouch.
Oh.
Well, it wasn't pretty, but we got there, and Eddie wins the series 2-1, and advances to yet another finals here for Grandmasters for the Americas region. But I gotta say, that was exciting, and also No Hands really showed what he's capable of. Just gotta go a little bit faster. And that's gonna set up the finals. Killing All Day versus Eddie, a Mage Mirror. I don't think anybody was anticipating that when we looked at all the lineups this weekend, except for maybe 2 people, Killing All Day and TJ Sanders.
I actually didn't have that much faith in the Devil Mage, but Gillen surprised me and it was doing super well. Eddie didn't surprise me at all, though, because of how many priests and even druids that were in the field. I honestly expected Eddie and Language Hacker, who also brought the Turtle Mage, to do super well. Language Hacker had a rough day 2 of Swiss and didn't quite make it, but I'm honestly not surprised to see Eddie in the finals. And also, if Eddie wins another week, if he goes back-to-back, wins another week with Turtle Mage, I'm pretty sure Tyler, APAC Grandmaster, has to craft an entirely golden Turtle Mage deck.
Ah, that's right.
So
That'll be really
there's more
fun.
riding on this for Eddie, and I guess
right.
for Tyler.
That's right. More than just money, bragging rights, and pride. It's also the shame of other Grandmasters that doubted him, which is what Eddie is playing for. And so we'll give him a few minutes to get set as we approach the final match of the week, the final match of the Swiss tournament phase here in Hearthstone Grandmasters. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few with the conclusion of Stage 1 here of Hearthstone Grandmasters Season 2.
Hearthstone Grandmasters is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network. T-Mobile.